In the brilliant film Before Sunset, one of the characters says, I guess when you're young, you just believe there will be many people with whom you'll connect. And later in life, you only realize it only happens a few times. So, how many times have you fallen in love? I am 19 and I have fallen in love once. Story 1. Twice. The second time around, I fell way harder. I'm writing this from her bathroom, so I'm not planning on falling in love a third time, unless I hit my head and have to do it over with her. Edit. I'm not sure what people think I meant by the bathroom comment. I was just using the bathroom in my girlfriend's place, that's all, laughing out loud. Story 2. I'm 55. You have to tend to it and water it like a plant or it will wither and die. Learn that early and beware of who you're giving love to. The emotional vampires who feed off your love light energy are tricky. They'll allow you to love them, thinking that's all that's required. Keep in mind the other side of love, heartbreak, is the validation of it. That's like the heads and tails of the same coin. So in your depths of despair, rejoice in the love you released. Story 3. 24-year-old here. I've fallen in love, real love, once. I still think about her even though it's been over 5 years since we last spoke. I'm not in love with her right now, nor do I think I'll ever be again, but I just can't help but reminisce every now and then, especially when I feel starved for affection. Edit. I'm hopeful for love in the future, and I didn't mean I'll never love again. I just meant I don't think I'll fall in love with her in particular for a second time. I know the right one is out there for me. Story 4. My first answer would be 4, but after knowing what real love is after being married to her for 15 years, now I would answer with 1. I thought I was in love with the earlier relationships, but at the time I wasn't able to recognize what real love is until my wife came along. Story 5. I am a 38-year-old male, by the way. The first was with my high school girlfriend. It was stupid puppy love nonsense, but we were young and having a good time. My second love was a girl I started dating the summer after high school graduation. We were on and off for over 5 years. She went to a college about 4 hours away. She'd be all about me when she came home for summer and winter break. Then she'd go back to school and forget I existed. I eventually broke the cycle, but that was the only time in my life I experienced true heartbreak. The third was a girl I dated for 2 years. I really thought we were going to get married. I fully assimilated into her lifestyle. I lost myself. My own family barely recognized me. I was in deep. Then she dumped me because she didn't think I had a future, wasn't going anywhere in life, and so on. She was wrong, by the way. I was caught off guard when she dumped me, and my entire future disappeared before my eyes. And I was relieved. I was surprised at my reaction. I would have married her and changed my entire life to fit into her and her family's world. I didn't realize how much I had lost myself until I was suddenly single again. I was happy about it. The fun part of my life began after this. The fourth was my wife. We clicked immediately, had a very natural chemistry, and 12 years later, we are married with 2 kids and quite happy. Story 6. Once, seriously, fell in love with this tiny, pretty little blonde girl that was literally thrown into my arms and wouldn't leave. Even I could take that hint. We were 16. That was in 1971. We just got in from our walk. We've been married 44 years and counting. Story 7. I didn't date much when I was younger. I was a shy, nerdy type. As I got older, I felt like I would never fall in love. I got married at 39. How many times have I fallen in love? Every day since. Story 8. 44 years old. In hindsight, like your quote, I think it is less than I thought at various times. I think many times I have confused liking someone a lot with love. Love is a deeper connection, fundamental and inexplicable, like can be compartmentalized, made into a list. I would say real love is when you love someone despite all the things you don't like about them. When you can list the dislikes but still choose to be with them, that is love. I've been in 9 long-term intimate relationships. Looking back, I've only been really in love 3 times. The first time we met at orchestra camp, age 17. The first time I spoke with her on the phone, she told me we would get married someday. She didn't ask me, she just told me. That put me in a hard spot because I had been dating someone else for 2 years. But I thought she was right. I broke up with the girlfriend. We were together for 5 years. On some other timeline, we would have married. I was suffering from some youthful trauma and wasn't mature enough and messed things up by delaying. A couple of years after we broke up, I married someone I'd only met 2 weeks earlier. That was my best example of mistaking a lot of liking for love. We were together a few years and had no messy divorce, just a calm conversation, and I moved out. It was in part motivated by my second love. Though I didn't cheat physically, I had fallen for a friend of a friend. I didn't tell her. I didn't know how she felt, but it was a good sign that my marriage wasn't going to last. But she felt the same, though we waited a little after I was separated to talk about it. Long story short, it was deep, dysfunctional, all-out love, off and on for 7 years. She had serious mental health issues. I eventually couldn't take another attempted suicide, but I never stopped loving her. Our souls are connected for some reason. Third time's a charm? I met my wife online. I am convinced I knew her in another lifetime. I didn't so much learn about her and fall in love with her. I feel like I recognized her from a deep well of obfuscated memory. I made a note on my Outlook calendar after the first month to ask her to marry me in a year, learning my lesson about hasty engagements. But I've never felt different from that 10 years in. Story 9. First, I was in a long-distance relationship, but the logistics just weren't going to work, so I gave up on the relationship. The second time was 3 years later, and I got scared and ran. I ghosted her for 2 months before a friend slapped some sense into me. I groveled my way back to her. We were married 2 years later and are expecting our first child in 2 months. Story 10. I am in my 40s. Twice for real, although I didn't know how to tell when I was in love until the first time I really felt it, so I said, I love you to several people that I didn't actually love before I knew better. Story 11. Once during intermediate school, I think. I've been head over heels for a handful of people before, but there's one that sticks out and who crosses my mind even years later. One that I considered true love, rather than just wow. That person is so amazingly beautiful and smart and funny. I want to spend my whole life with them. That's how much more I hold her in high esteem. The former encompasses the latter but greatly surpasses it. She was the kind of person that made me run out the front gates after school let out so I could catch up and we could walk home together until that one intersection. Or if I was first, I would wait until she got out. She was the one I would always look to first whenever someone said something funny, just so I could catch her smile. I would always try to position myself so I could hear her voice if she was nearby in the classroom or lunchroom or something. I would always sit next to or near her on the bus to school in the morning. The way I qualify true love, from just simply, I want to spend my life with this funny, beautiful, smart person, is this. Seeing them happy is enough. That's all I need. If she's happy, anything can happen in my life and it'd be fine, so long as she's happy. That's enough. We grew apart at the end of intermediate school, unfortunately, so we no longer have a future. We're strangers to each other now. But after all these years, I looked up her Instagram page out of curiosity and saw she was happy. And I didn't feel nostalgic about the memories or sad that she was with someone else and I missed my opportunity. I felt happy because seeing her happy was always the goal. So once, I felt that way about someone I've had eyes for only once in my life, and it's the measure I use to gauge my interest in new romantic partners. High bar? Yes. Will you only ever feel that way for only one person in your life? I don't think so. I think there can be others, I just need to get to know them before I find out I feel that way. Edit. All of your replies are so kind. Thank you. Story 12. I am 31 and I have been in love 3 times. Maybe just 2. I am going through something now that is sort of showing me what I had with the most recent girl was not really love at all. Just the idea of love. But definitely at least twice. Waiting on the 4th girl to come and show me the past never really compared. Story 13. 3 times altogether. I am older. The one that got away, too young to understand. The one I gave away, too selfish to get out of my own way. The one I was meant to be with. Married over 2 decades. 3 times altogether. I am older. The one that got away, too young to understand. The one I gave away, too selfish to get out of my own way. The one I was meant to be with. Married over 2 decades. 3 times altogether. I am older. The one that got away, too young to understand. The one I gave away, too selfish to get out of my own way. The one I was meant to be with. Married over 2 decades. Story 14. 50 years old and I have been in love 3 times. I am married to my 3rd love and the only one that I was really ready for. Took me 40 years to grow up. Story 15. My mom passed away suddenly yesterday. She and my dad were married for 54 years, together for 56. They loved each other as much as the day they met. Blind date, love at first sight. They were inseparable. One and only love and soulmates for life. I am 53 and still holding out hope for mine. Been in love twice. Rest easy, mama, you will be missed by many. I love you. Story 16. I'm 26. Part of me wants to say I've fallen in love 3 times. Then again, love is super subjective, and it can be polarizing depending on your experiences. I'll explain what I felt in these 3 situations. 1. My first time in love was with my high school sweetheart. I was 15 when I met her, and a year and a half later we broke up. She was nearly my first everything. I felt I loved her, her family, and the time we spent together when we were happy. Things turned sour when I learned much more about her toxic, unhealthy habits due to her mental health, and consequently, I was abused in many different ways. It became a Stockholm Syndrome-like situation for me. No matter the wrong she did to me, I felt she showed me love and cared for me, so I stayed despite the abuse, until my mom finally got me out of the relationship. I didn't speak to her for 7 years after we broke up because of the pain. I denied the love for so long. Before I finally healed, I thought, how could someone who loves you abuse you, misuse you, yet still expect you to be their lifeline? Years later, we finally spoke, and she apologized for everything. I learned to forgive and be civil. At times now, I find myself remembering music she introduced me to, dates we went on, and her dad taking me out fishing. My dad wasn't around, and this was the first father-son moment I had in my life. It showed me I loved her deeply. It may have been abusive, but now, 10 years later, I cannot deny that that was love. After that relationship, I met a wonderful woman from a different traditional culture. I fell in love immediately with her, as she did with me. She was 2 years younger than me, but as I was planning for college, she was planning to follow. We talked about our dreams, the things we loved, falling in love, and creating a family. It felt like this was the woman I was going to spend my life with. Everything came fast and then fell apart just as quickly. Her family believed in arranged marriages. I'm American, and I'm not into that. And neither was she, although she was a first-generation Indian American in her family. Her family found out we dated, and they sent her to her home country shortly after they found out and contacted me to stay away from their daughter. We spoke for the 5 years following, but it wasn't the same. She ended up coming back to the States, moving to the city. We still emotionally depended on each other. Our dreams kept us tethered to each other until she met other people. She still reached out, but it wasn't the same. After coming out of a bad relationship 2 years after she moved to the city, she reached out. She asked me if I'd consider moving to the city. There wasn't any romantic connection on her side, but I was expecting everything to fall into place like we talked about as teenagers. So I moved. I transferred colleges as she started college in the city. I moved equally for her and for my career. She convinced me that with what I wanted to do with my life, there were more opportunities to succeed. The older I got, mental health issues became prevalent. I held on to the hope that this girl wanted me. I moved, but she didn't really stay in contact with me after. I found out she had a new boyfriend. Salty, but I accepted it and stopped reaching out. A year later, she invited me to a house party she threw. Me, holding on to hope and reeling from a new diagnosis of mental illness. I was convinced she still wanted me and that we'd get married. I was delusional, essentially. When I realized this, I didn't know how to feel. I loved this girl with all my heart. I wanted everything with her, and it was like everything changed, and she didn't want that. It was hard for me to accept. She was my savior from that terrible relationship I was in, and she helped me be confident in myself. To protect myself, I blocked her from social media because I couldn't tell if I was in love with her still. We ran into each other a lot in the city after I blocked her. It made me unblock her honestly. We ran into each other downtown at bars on the train. Everything just felt like universal signs, and it messed with me. My friends all told me she didn't want me, yet when I was with her, and we were looking at each other, it was like the whole world dissolved. Every time I dropped some new music, she'd reach out and tell me how great it was. When we were teens, I had just started getting into making contemporary music and releasing it. She was my first supporter. She told me I would get very far and that I had it in me. She was all the inspiration I needed. At this point, it's 6 years since we met, and we're living different lives. We met up and caught up over coffee. She said we should do it again, so I tried to schedule it. She kept leaving me on read. I later told her, when she asked if I wrote a specific song about her, that I had been in love with her for over 5 years at that point, and I didn't know what to do anymore. She didn't respond well to it, and I got really upset on social media talking about depression. She asked if I really felt the way I did. I didn't know what to say. I explained and waited for a response. I waited a week, and nothing. I realized I had been infatuated with an idea I created of a person for almost 7 years and fell in love with that idea. Waking up from that was a cold, hard slap in the face, and I almost ended my life over it. I also blamed that on mental illness. It all had a factor in it, though. I felt like I wasted a big portion of my life. The last story, LOL. I met a girl through social media after everything that happened with the girl I thought I was in love with. We met, we hooked up. She wanted it to just be sex. I have a bad habit of attaching to women who show me kindness when I'm down. She wasn't kind, but she was caring. We talked a lot about depression. We argued because I wanted to be there, and she wouldn't let me in. Months after silence, we began speaking and hooking up again. I crushed on her, and she crushed on me. We trauma bonded and became toxic for each other because we weren't done healing through our individual trauma. This is one thing about caring for somebody with mental illness. When you're around them enough, you experience the ugliest sides of it. She took me to the psych ward twice. She came and visited me every day. I made her food every day and made sure she showered and got to work on her most depressed days when she wouldn't leave the bed. We loved each other. This was something I never experienced before. The care. Yes, our love was toxic. She ensured I was in therapy every week, 3 times a week actually, made sure I never missed my medication and took care of bills. I made sure she didn't forget things, remembered to eat, and motivated her to go back to school and support her. As we got healthier together, we realized we were not good for each other. We broke up, and it was the hardest thing I had been through. Why? I wanted a family with this woman, of course, but it was hard because the type of affection, care, and love I had for her was nothing I had ever experienced, only things I had dreamed of, only things I had seen in movies. We were together for about 1.5 years. I can't really be friends with her right now because I am still learning to move on. I explain these stories to tell you that love is a spectrum, and it grows as you grow. Sometimes you may not know what love is, but it feels good, so you stick with that feeling because that's what you think it is. Love should make you feel good. It shouldn't stop you from doing what you want and living your life to your best, though. Love should encourage you to encourage your partner to live to their best ability. Love is just, it's wild. I'll get off my soapbox, but I do want to say love is different from connection. Over the last 8 years of adulthood, I've experienced many connections with people that I would have been honored to love. It wasn't our time though, and sometimes things are just as great as connections instead of love, and they don't need to develop further. Don't go out looking for love. It's okay to look for a connection, but don't force it. Let it happen to you. Let the love build if you seek it. Love is different for everyone. You'll know it when you feel it though.